So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put on some boots, super dielectrics, overshoes. We got these brand new boots, overshoes. And we bet that if you use these overshoes, that those numbers won't be high. And I told them, I said, look, I said, if I use these overshoes, they're brand new in a shiny bag. If I use these overshoes and we do those measurements and they're similar, I get to keep your boots. Is that fair? And they made a deal with me that day, a couple years ago. Okay? So, let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm safe. Read that boot. Rubber.
13.
Back.
23.
Inside glove.
27.
Okay?
What was that last one?
27.
Similar, right? Okay. Now I'm going to tool glove. Here I go. Boot.
55.
Back.
106. 110.
Inside glove.
160.
160. So it's similar. So I got the boots. Okay? Yeah, double up the boots. You know what's funny? You know what's funny is, we rubber up and everything, and, some of us, we get to the point where we look like Gumby. And the fact is, the electricity works the same. It's going to ground. If you're in the way of it, it's still going to ground. If you're Gumby or if you're a piece of copper, it's going to the ground. It just does. That's what it does. So when you're working out there and you're working hot, guys, think about all these things we're talking about, your position, your body position, your tool position, because these things are super important, because those electrons, whether you work safe or not, they're finding you and they're going through you and across you to ground. That's just what happens. If you go to a transmission line and walk underneath it and it just rained, a monsoon storm, and you walk your little Fido dog underneath it, you might feel some little sparkies because it's going to ground. More so due to the environmental conditions from maybe a day like today. But it's still going to ground on a day like today, measurably so. You take this tool and stand under 6,900 and you're going to read about 80 volts. right above your head. Seriously, 80 volts, I've done it. I was at Detroit at their training facility with the trailer, and I literally stood out there to ground, the secondary probe to ground, held that tool up to in the air about 4 feet above my head, and I was getting 80 volts. Okay? And that was coming to me some measurable degree. Okay? All right.
Have you ever tried it with a grounding mat?
Yeah, so we have. That's a good question, grounding mat. So these basically serve as similar to a grounding mat. And I've done it with a grounding mat, and the results were the same. So that's great. That's a great question. And I actually need a grounding mat to do that. If you guys have an extra grounding mat on your truck, if you guys could hand it to me before I leave today, that would...
I bet you can get 5.
Huh? Yeah, right? No, well, I'll make that bet with you. Go get it and I'll make that bet with you. Okay? Because the thing is, guys, grounding mat or not, you know how electricity works. If you got dielectric boots on, what's this difference between those overshoes and dielectric boots? Same thing. See? I had a guy, I was doing training, I didn't say this last time, Daryl, but I had a guy in California, I don't want to say where, but he had dielectric boots. And he said, hey, let me wear your gloves. It was an operations manager. That's why I don't want to say where. Let me wear your gloves. I got my dielectric boots. And he said, I bet you those numbers won't be that high. And he did, and they were exactly the same. Because he didn't understand exactly how electricity works. It still does what it's going to do. Whether you're safe or unsafe, it's going to do. So you make the choice what you're going to do that day, safe or unsafe. You want to take shortcuts, you want to go fast, that's fine. Because that electricity, if you get a chance to go home, you're going too fast that day, You just do a little slip on a roly-poly rock, that's fine. It's going to go home. It's not going to ask you because it's already doing it before you even got to the job site. Think about it.